If you have played Squad for more than a couple of years, you may have picked up on it. This odd back and forth between a milsim PvP game and an easy-to-consume, easy-to-market shooter. This pull in nearly opposite directions within the game's development. In March 2022, the mobile game company Tencent bought a minority share in OWI. Since the acquisition, players have seen this trend of highly marketable microtransactions and a marketing style making it easier to sell in place of Battlefield. This makes good business sense, since Battlefield 2042 has been a bit of a flop. However, this is not the kind of game Squad is, or at least that's not what it set out to be. Squad's origin leads us back to the Battlefield 2 mod Project Reality. Although I never played Project Reality, I know enough to understand the idea behind it. Take a Battlefield game and make it more realistic and have a more hardcore feel. Essentially, to make a Battlefield game more milsim. From what I have heard about Project Reality, it did a great job for its time. Keep in mind though, Battlefield 2 came out in 2005, nearly 20 years ago at the time of this writing. In October 2014, Project Reality's developer SniperDog announced the development of a new standalone game and successor to Project Reality. This project would go by the name Squad. In this initial post, SniperDog says, quote, "The goal of our project is to produce an Unreal Engine 4 based standalone commercial game, whose central focus is promoting teamwork and communication through gameplay mechanics and features," end quote. To me, this says that Squad was planned to be a milsim PvP game. A game based on communication, teamwork, and tactics. A game that would be easy to pick up and play, but play much more slowly like the Arma franchise. More importantly, this would be promoted through the mechanics and features implemented into the game. Overall, OWI has done a pretty good job of building the game described by SniperDog. There is, however, room for improvement. Since Squad's official 1.0 release in 2020, Squad's basic mechanics have had very little adjustment aside from the ICO, which deserves its own video, so let me know if you would like to see a video on the issues with the ICO down in the comments. With so few changes in deployment, logistics, and command assets since 1.0, veteran players like myself have been left with stale gameplay. FOB placements have become somewhat predictable, and the FOB spam meta has gotten so old. In my opinion, squads should be encouraged to place FOBs farther away and run off of their rally points. Instead, the idea is to place as many FOBs as close as we can to the objective, but never on the objective. Now, I'm not the kind to simply complain without proposing possible solutions to fix these issues. So what exactly are the issues that I see in Squad's gameplay, and how do we adjust the gameplay to better facilitate tactical, thought-out gameplay? Keep in mind, I play Squad for a slower paced game compared to Battlefield or other shooters. Many of my ideas will lean towards a slower pace and an emphasis on maneuvering and teamwork rather than racking up kills. As I said a moment ago, the current FOB meta is to place at least 3 FOBs surrounding an objective on at least 3 sides. Only place the radio, a HAB, and an ammo crate to minimize the chance of being spotted. Don't ever put the HAB near the radio, and rarely place the FOB on an objective because the enemy will simply overrun the FOB when they attack the objective. The meta lets players spawn freely on any angle that they choose at any time, while never risking the vulnerable defensive FOB. Which, yes, it's a great idea, surrounding the enemy and attacking from multiple angles while minimizing the chance of losing a defensive FOB. I don't fault the players for doing this. It's a great strategy with the current rules. I fault the FOB mechanics for this, specifically 2 things: the proximity system, as well as the build and exclusion zones. In the alpha and early beta versions of Squad, defensive FOBs were king, specifically super FOBs. This was due to the game lacking any form of proxy system to overrun a HAB. Instead, players had to partially tear down a HAB or radio to stop enemy players from spawning. This meant attackers had to push inside of the HAB to overrun it. Since then, OWI has implemented the proxy system we are familiar with, where 2 people can overrun the HAB if they are within 20 meters, and it will take 9 people to overrun the HAB at a distance of 90 meters, with the maximum being 90 meters. To be completely honest, this is not a terrible system. It prevents the super fob from being worth making, sure, but it also makes building anything besides the hab and an ammo crate nearly pointless. The real issue with the proxy system lies in the number of people needed to overrun the hab at a maximum distance. 9 people can easily walk by a hab and overrun it by happenstance, then move away never knowing the hab was ever there. If that same squad made a concentrated effort to overrun the hab, it's nearly no contest that they will, especially if they can sneak in. This makes the hab and therefore the fob extremely vulnerable. The last thing I want is to flag to the other team that my fob is over this way because I placed a HESCO barrier or an HMG bunker. It's better, generally, to place only the hab in one ammo crate. This creates rippling gameplay issues over time. For instance, this has completely removed any viability of a defensive fob strategy. Why place the hab on the objective and build defenses when it will almost certainly be overrun the moment you are attacked? Why place mortars or machine guns? This in turn has led to the fob spam meta, where teams will at times place nearly 10 fobs on a map, which also enables individual players to more easily do their own thing as a lone wolf. Aside from the gameplay issues, it honestly makes no sense. Fobs are fortified positions in real life, not just a radio in a bunker. It's walls of HESCOs and guard posts and sandbags, gun positions and mortar pits. But hey, I'm just a milsimper. What do I know?
My immersion!
So how do we fix the issue? I think a simple adjustment is all that's needed. I feel that 90 meters being the maximum distance of proxy is fine. The issue lies in the number of players. If 9 people can proxy the hab by accident, the number of players that can proxy at that distance is too low. So why not increase the number to 12, or even 15 maybe, at 90 meters? If we use 12 at 90 meters, then 9 players could still proxy the hab within 60 meters, and 3 at 30, so it converts easily. This would make the hab harder to overrun with only one squad while still letting it be possible. At a tactical level, this would mean attacking a fob will require more than one squad to quickly eliminate it. Now this could make the fob meta spam stronger because fobs are harder to overrun. To counter this and make fobs harder to find, we address the second issue that I have, the build and exclusion zones. The build and exclusion zones, or fob radii, have been static since well before the 1.0 release in 2020. The only caveat to this is the reduction of the radii on smaller maps like Logar Valley and Sumari. This has made finding fobs relatively easy for players. So much so that I have repeatedly watched teams give up on a match assuming that the other team was ghosting. This only reinforces the stealth aspect of the fob. The harder it is to find, the better. But it still needs to be within 400 meters of the objective. It's become a real issue for squad leaders. Wherever I place this fob, I'm expecting to lose it. My answer to this issue is to increase the fob radii. By increasing the build radii, the blue circle, to 225 meters, we will increase the area enemy players need to search by 88,300 square meters. This also increases the build area for the SL by that same amount, which allows for more locations to be used for the radio, habs, and fortifications. We would also want to adjust the exclusion radii, the white circle, to prevent fobs from being so close to the objectives. If this range was increased to 550 or 600 meters, teams would be forced to choose where they place radios more carefully. This would also increase the minimum range you would be able to place fobs to encircle an objective. Couple this with the larger build radii and players will be pushed back farther on offense, but will have more options as to where they place things once the radio is set. This also allows for squads to utilize rally points more often. To further encourage the use of rally points, why not reduce their ammo cost from 50 to 30? This would allow SLs to resupply the rally more often and reposition it more frequently. In a defensive role, these changes are fantastic, as you are less likely to be overrun, and if you are, the radio might be slightly safer. Also, you will have more room on defense to position fortifications away from the hab, thus increasing your chance of preventing the enemy players from getting within 90 meters. However, anything placed on defense is rendered utterly useless due to the next issue with squad stale gameplay. Artillery is overpowered. It's that simple. The ability to destroy nearly an entire FOB's build zone is broken. That's exactly what artillery in Squad does. It forces players to once again hide their habs and radios away from the devastating effect of artillery. On top of this, it has rendered fortifications completely useless. Why build a defensible position when it's only going to get deleted by artillery? When an artillery strike lands, the amount of rounds that hits the target area is enormous. A creeping barrage at its largest spread fires 7 salvos, each consisting of 12 rounds, plus 2 ranging rounds. That's 86 rounds on target. Static is only slightly better, firing 8 salvos of 10 rounds, plus 2 ranging rounds, for a total of 82. Not only is this devastating to the enemy team, but from my experience in the US Army and the research I have done on this topic since then, most batteries are only 6 to 8 guns. So the number of rounds falling is still excessive. Okay, maybe the idea is that more than one battery is firing, but then we have way more assets assigned to us than we should at the platoon level. Now, I do see how artillery is used to end a stalemate between teams, so if reducing the number of rounds is out of the question, the timer on the artillery needs to be increased, possibly even limited to layers or matchups with other conventional factions. I would even be accepting of decreasing the number of guns and increasing the number of salvos. That would also lengthen the time the rounds are falling and instill more suppression on enemy players. Also, this would allow friendly players slightly more time to get in position before the rounds stop. But if having one asset capable of destroying a hab is what the devs want, why not rework CAS as well? Since command assets have first been introduced, I have always felt that the CAS assets were pretty weak. First, they only have one use per call-in, and it's a gun run or a rocket strike. Neither feels overly powerful. So why not change how it works? Why not have CAS act like a UAV? What I mean by this is why not put the CAS aircraft on a timer, an on-station timer for 2 to 5 minutes, and then a 12 to 15 minute cooldown between call-ins. When on station, players can call in 2 or 3 rocket or gun strikes. Let's add 2 500-pound laser-guided bomb strikes, or maybe just one 1,000-pound bomb. Regardless, this would give commanders much more of a role in the fight and allow for a total of more assets per match. The idea is to make the assets feel more like what a platoon may have at its disposal. A close air support aircraft, a small artillery battery, and a UAV. This simply feels more like what should be supporting a platoon. Moreover, the CAS adjustments would make more sense to the players. Now, many of these changes could drastically alter the gameplay of Squad on their own. I believe that a combination of these ideas could completely change the game as we know it. Yet there is one last issue I still have with Squad. Okay, so this isn't really an issue, more of a pretty please to the devs. Regardless, addressing this would make matches played differently at the ground level. Get it? Ground level? Because maps? Anyway, with Squad being nearly 9 years old, many of the maps are showing their age, and because of that, the game has become quite repetitive. Maps older than and including Talil need to have minor things changed. New entrenched positions and objectives added, add more craters and burnt out vehicles to make the old maps feel like a war zone. Build small battle positions and trench works, or burn down a forest. This is something that Squad 44 did well before being acquired by OWI, and I think OWI could implement some of the Squad 44 level design ideas into their older maps on Squad. Additionally, changing small things like moving a grove of trees and rearranging buildings or adding new assets to old points of interest could change the flow of a match. Lastly, I would love to see some of the much smaller maps like Sumari or Logar Valley, even Korra and Koken, expanded slightly to better accommodate 100 players. This could either be done by changing the scale of the maps or by expanding the playable area in some way. The biggest benefit of reworking these old maps is that for relatively low effort, in my opinion, Players can have many new experiences on a vast number of maps that are already made. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying these are changes that have to be done to make Squad great again, nor am I saying we should implement all of these ideas at once. I hope that eventually someone will share this video with some of the people at OWI and get them to think. I would love to see some of these ideas implemented into the game. Even as amazing as having one of these ideas plucked from this video and implemented would be, I just hope this can make some of the devs think about how to change the gameplay loop just a bit. The ICO did not seem to change the game in the way that I think the devs had hoped. Maybe these are alternative ideas. I mean, with the rise in the number of games having quote-unquote seasons, like Rocket League or Fortnite or PUBG or Overwatch, why not simply add or change something every 6 months or so just to make players think about something new, like a season? This would keep Squad feeling fresh for the older, more veteran players like myself, and give new players a slightly different gameplay experience. This doesn't need to be seen as fixing the game, simply changing the rules, changing the meta, offering a new situation to the player. Now, I don't want people to think that I hate Squad. I still love the game. I've played too many hours to ever think that it's a bad game. OWI has had massive success with this title, and I have played it for nearly 8 years at this point. And that's a massive testament to how good the game really is. Yet after 8 years, it has become stale to me. Even as Squad has more active players now than ever, at the end of the day, I want more Squad. I want new and immersive experiences from the game that I love. I want to see a more methodical style of gameplay become viable. If it were up to me and myself alone, I would turn up the suppression and increase the length of a firefight even more. I want to see a game where skill cap is based on how well your squad can execute squad and fireteam tactics. As a player, I'm good on new factions. We have more than plenty. I want a different strategy in Squad. I will continue to play Squad in the future, but changes like these would bring me back much, much faster. Until then, I will be playing a much older, much more clunky milsim game, and wishing that it was PvP. Anyway, let us know what you think down in the comments about these ideas. Should OWI think about implementing some of these changes, or am I a total and complete nutcase? If you did enjoy the video, smash the like button and subscribe for more 5th Battalion Filthy Casuals. Don't forget to share the video with other Squad players, stay casual, and see you next time.